Hi creative friends, this is Soraya and thank you so much for being here. So I allow this to completely dry and I'm gonna bring it up so that you can see some of the luscious textures that have happened. And this is one of the great things about covering stuff up is you're actually building up layers. So it does help the overall finished portrait. Now, while I work on this, I'm gonna be talking about a few ways to overcome your inhibitions to cover up a piece of your work that, just isn't working. You want to cover it up. You're not happy with it. Not that there might not be anything wrong with it, or there may be something wrong with it, but regardless, you want to cover it up, but you're just having difficulty, which is totally understandable. So a few things that I have learned along the way, and, I was thinking about it, and maybe at some point I was nervous about covering up my stuff. I'm not present day and I haven't been for a really long time, but maybe 20 years ago I was. I don't remember, to be quite honest. That being said, one of the things that I started doing, and I started doing this actually not for the purposes of detaching from my artwork, but I did it because I wanted my stuff to dry naturally. So I started working on multiple art journals at one time. And, I just decided, hey, I want to let things dry naturally, etc., etc. And one of the natural byproducts of that is that I became really detached from my art. Like I wasn't so invested in one piece, because if you're working on one piece, it's very hard to not kind of be so immersed in it that you can't see, like you just can't see things clearly. But when you're working on multiple pages or pieces or art journals, you get perspective because you're not so emotionally invested in any one piece. And this way, it's just like, oh, I'm just covering this up. Okay, and then I'll just move on to the next piece. So that's one of the things you can do, is just work on a lot of different pieces at one time. The second thing is trust the process. So, a lot of times we might think, oh, I don't want to cover up this piece because this is as good as it can get. Because you're trusting that you can't do any better. But when you trust your abilities, your process, you trust where the painting wants to go, then I think it becomes easier to just say, hey, this is all part of the journey. It's not like you're destroying something, but you're transforming it, and all the layers are still there. That's the way I look at it anyways. It's all still there. You just can't see it. And I think that is just a reflection of even the way we are as people. Like your 5-year-old self is still inside of you. You just can't see that 5-year-old self, So I just think of it that way, if that helps. Another thing is that it builds confidence, because when you cover up your work, and you're trusting in your abilities and you're trusting in your art, how can it not build confidence? So present day, I have absolutely no qualms about covering up my work if I don't like it, and I don't have to have a reason to cover it up. It could just be my intuition. There doesn't have to be anything wrong with it. So hopefully those tips are gonna, help somebody out there who, wants to cover up their artwork and they're just kind of having a little bit of a mental block. Another thing is, throughout history, artists have covered their artwork for different reasons. Now, a lot of times it was due to poverty, really, because I'm going to use Van Gogh as an example. He covered up a lot of his works, and now with x-rays, they can see what's underneath it without disturbing or destroying the finished piece on top. But he did it because he ran out of canvases, and that happens, that's happened to so many artists along the way. A lot of artists just did not have the resources, and canvases were really expensive. Now, see the lips are completely off here. I don't know if it's just because I redrew the eyes and I'm trying to redraw the nose, but that's totally fine. I'm just gonna cover it up. I'm gonna get some of my dictionary pages here. And you guys, I am gonna make a video about everything I've learned on my YouTube journey for the past year, because, you know, like I think I've mentioned before, I used to, well, I have an Instagram account, and then I took a hiatus from it. And then a year ago when I started my YouTube channel, I couldn't balance working on my YouTube channel and Instagram. There was too much of a learning curve for me. There's a lot to learn. It's not just, you know, like making the art, like, you know, showing my process, but there's a lot of technical parts to it that I just had to learn. So I couldn't focus on both, but you guys, I completely lost my train of thought. Oh, but what I was gonna say is I am gonna make a video on everything that I've learned from my YouTube journey, and it's been a huge growth process, and it has really helped me creatively, to such a large degree. Like, I'm still trying to process like the ways in which me starting my YouTube channel has really helped me grow in a creative way. And I am going to make a video about that. And if you guys are thinking about starting a YouTube channel, I would say just go for it. If you have the time to devote. It does take a lot of time. Well, it takes me a lot of time. But everybody's different. But yeah, I would just say, you know, start. But I am working on a video of everything I've learned on my YouTube journey. Okay. And I think because I redid the eyes, it changed everything. And so then the lips are kind of were off, and that's okay. So this 100-day project, you guys, has been really interesting to me, and I started it off to strengthen my knowledge and use of values, and I think I'm really kind of learning a lot. I honestly am. Oops. And I'm gonna drag some of this brown, the skin color here, which is Liquitex Burnt Sienna. I am gonna drag it into the hair. And I haven't mentioned this in a few videos, so I'm just gonna recap the 3 main points that I made in my earlier videos for the 100-day project, which is the color field is not one color. So just say there's black hair. Well, it's not, you know, solely a black color. There are so many different color fields, colors in that one color field. And let me see if I have this book here. And I think it bears repeating that, you know, say this over here, this is reading as a red sweater, but if you look at it closely, there are so many different colors and values in there, but we're still reading it as red. So that's a really important point. The second point is the push and pull. which is, you know, when you're pushing something into the background, then it's generally going to be a darker value and a neutralized or cooler value. And when you're pulling something forward in space, then it is generally going to be a lighter value and a brighter color. And this holds true for anything. Like if you're painting a still life, if you're painting portraits, and it's just a very interesting push pull, push pull, push pull. You know, it's just an anchoring point. And I'm gonna bring this up closer here. Now I do want to add some red to the cheeks here and just to the skin. And I don't think I'm gonna add like oil pastels or anything. I think I'm just gonna keep it with my inks and acrylics and collage, I think. I'm not 100% sure. It might change its mind, but for right now. And I'm just dragging all of this here. And well, you guys, I think I am going to be happier with this configuration here. And it's hard for me to work over top of this because it's all like wet. But I'm going to show you the finished piece once it's done. And I think I'm also going to post this part of the video. I'm going to post it later on today, and that way if anybody is following along, then they don't have to wait until the next day. So what I've been doing is when I think that people are working on their own pieces and there's like a part 1 and 2, I've been posting them like twice a day so that, you know, I think it's helpful. So anyways, you guys, if you've watched all the way to the end, thank you so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.